All right, guess what this is? This is the last video of 2021. I just heard my husband and a little 5-year-old daughter exit the house. They're going to the park, and I'm just waiting for the dogs to come back in and inform me that they did not get to go. They have opinions about that. All right, thanks so much for being here. Welcome back to my channel. My name's Catalina. I'm a certified personal trainer and nutritionist, and most of you know that because most of you are my dear family and friends. Thank you so much for being here. All right, as promised, another week, another video. We're finishing this year out right, and thank you so much for your support. I truly appreciate it. I figure considering this is the last week of the year, it would be a perfect opportunity to look back at the year we're leaving behind and look ahead at 2022 and see what the plan is, see what we're gonna do here. So let's get into it. What do you say? Looking back, this was an interesting year. Definitely for myself, for my family, and for all of us. One of the things here they are, right on time. You did not get to go, did you? Yeah, not to worry, not to worry. We'll get out there, not to worry. I think that one of the things we all have in common that joins us all as a country across the globe, across the world, is this damn pandemic, the pandemic. As children, we watched The Never-Ending Story, and as adults, we grew up and realized that that was about dishes and laundry. Little inside joke there, right? We all get it. But now, the last couple of years, we realized The Never-Ending Story is actually going to be about COVID, because it's never ending. There's always going to be a new iteration, a new something, new shutdowns, new restrictions, and I'm not going to get political about it. That's not what we're here for. I just feel like the last couple of years have been a never-ending story as far as COVID goes. And rather than talk about the policy behind it, I can definitely feel like we're all in agreement that it has put an insurmountable amount of stress on all of us. And so looking back, I think that it's safe to say this has been the most stressful experience in the last couple of years that we've all been through, and that we've all been through it together. We're all in the same storm. We're not all in the same boat. We're all in very different boats going through this stressor, but we're all in the same storm, and this storm sucks. I think it's safe to say. Now, for my family, it has been an added stressor because in the last year and change, since November of 2020, we've come to understand that I have epilepsy. And I met my stress threshold because of the pandemic, and in doing so, my body released that unknown factor that I had been carrying around my entire life. So being diagnosed with epilepsy as an adult and having to come to terms with that, understand how to literally restructure my entire life around that, was what the theme of this year was for me and for our family. So what that looked like was I had to, as I said, completely restructure my life and essentially our family's life around my mental health and neurological care. I had to see a neurologist at first every month, and of course he was across town. If you know anything about Tucson, you know that it is the biggest small town in the world. And so it was a 45-minute drive to get there, spend time with the neurologist, med stabilization. We had to go through 2 different meds before we found the correct one for me with no side effects that controlled my seizures and didn't cause intense depression and anxiety as the first med did. And then he put me on visits every 3 months, and that worked out really well. And now he's pushed me out to every 6 months, and he considers me stable. So the whole theme of this year was my mental health and self-care. That was what I had to boil everything down to. Because of the pandemic, my whole work dynamic changed. Obviously, the gyms closed down. I lost all of my gym clients. Was able to see a couple people in my garage with social distancing masks, and was able to transition some people to remote coaching. But I lost my business, essentially. I was at the height of my personal training career over at Snap, and then pew! So that was stressful. But it worked out for the best because I was unable to maintain that level of business with my epilepsy diagnosis. And again, restructuring my entire life around my epilepsy, new reality was my priority. And so work took a back seat. Everything else in life, what came to the forefront was neurological and mental health. So getting all that stabilized, my family having to restructure how we do our morning routine, because that was my most vulnerable time. Learning to say no to social events that didn't feel right. My sobriety was really important during this time. Alcohol does not jive at all with my epilepsy nor my medication. It just doesn't work. I wake up the next day completely drained. I'm unable to sleep that night, no matter how little I drink. My sobriety has been a blessing for myself and for my family, period. I think I'm going on like 2.5 to 3 years of getting just complete 180 on the type of drinker that I was before. And, there's no liquor in the house anymore. Joe will have a few beers a couple of times a week. And so even now, if I have a glass of wine at dinner, which would happen, maybe once a month, I pay for it. It's not worth it. And so now, again, that happens maybe once a month, usually if we go out for a date night, and I'm finding that less and less appealing. I wonder if 2022 isn't going to be just a completely dry year for me, alcohol-wise. I think that might be something worth looking into and thinking about for myself. So, to recap, looking back, all about my mental and neurological health. That had to take the precedence. That had to take the front seat for everything else. I had to nap because I don't sleep well anyway, and sleeplessness or insomnia is a huge trigger for my seizures. So I just had to get used to it. If I needed a nap in the middle of the afternoon, had to make that happen. I had to get used to saying no to social events that didn't feel right for me, because feeling overwhelmed or overscheduled, being overscheduled is also a huge trigger. Just had to get used to that. Had to get used to saying no to social situations where I felt like there were just too many people. I cannot go to Costco. I don't know how you people do it. It feels so damn overwhelming to me. This was before pandemic, let alone with everybody there now. So different things like that, just understanding my own personal triggers, what triggers not just the anxiety type of feelings. Well, no, yeah, pretty much just anxiety type of feelings. Just getting to know myself and all those different sorts of potential triggers, both for anxiety separate from my epilepsy, but then the epilepsy triggers as well. It was all about the year of learning about my epilepsy. That's what 2021 was. Sprinkled in with all the pandemic fun. I was really excited to rediscover my love of reading. That was my last week's video. So thanks to everybody who watched and commented on that video. It was so much fun to make. I don't know if you got a sense of how excited I was to rediscover my love of fiction and fantasy books, but I really was. I'm setting a very lofty goal. Next year, I want to read 50 books. So that's 1 book a week between audiobooks that I'm listening to while walking and then fiction books that I'm reading on my iPad. So I want to read 50 books next year. That's just under a book a week. I can do it. I'm going to make that happen. So work took a back seat. My boss over at Snap Fitness, Dave, was incredibly understanding of that. He pushed me to do only what I was capable of and then made adjustments between him and upper management at Snap so that I could still help out the company with as little as I was able to, still have a place there, and still prioritize myself and my mental health. I will forever be grateful for that. And my family, as always, just so supportive and super grateful for their understanding and making allowances on what I was and was not able to do as a caregiver, as a partner, and as a mommy. Because the rug got pulled out from under me last year, and I had to rebuild myself a couple of times from the ground up. So there's my recap, 2021. It was both kind of a bitch, and in a lot of different ways, it was an opportunity. Because you never know what's going to happen, and you really don't know what you're capable of until you are put into that position and you have to rebuild everything. So there we are. Let's look ahead, shall we? I am a January baby, And so I love New Year's. I love it because it coincides with my birthday, and it's an opportunity to take stock, reprioritize, and set some goals. As we talked about, I don't like resolutions because they're often too wishy-washy, they're too big, and people put very harsh and unrealistic expectations on themselves, fizzle out too quickly, and then just leave it, and they don't follow through. I like setting SMART goals that are, measurable, that are attainable, that you're able to actually reach. You set a timeline, and you set accountability measurements along the way to help you reach those goals. I like setting one goal a month that are habits-based so that you've got 28 to 31 days to meet that goal. It's hopefully ingrained at that point, and you can take it with you to the next month and the next month and build upon those habits throughout the year. And I like trying new things that are completely different. Like one year I did a new goal every single month, and one of them was going vegetarian for that month. And it was a lot of fun. I tried whole new recipes that I never would have had access to or desire to try before. That was a lot of fun. My family kicked and screamed for a couple of those different things. They were like, what the hell are chickpeas and why are we eating them all the time? But it was a lot of fun in the end, I thought. So I am setting some interesting goals this year for myself physically. If last year was the year of mental and neurological health, this year I would like to prioritize my physical and nutritional health. I feel like I'm in a much better place for that. I was not as consistent with my workouts or my nutrition the last year because there was no way I was going to put that kind of pressure and restriction on myself while I was also going through everything that I was last year with my epilepsy. That was in no way, shape, or form a smart move, right? I kept moving. I walked like crazy. I went to the gym and I did exercise patterns and movements that felt good to me at the time. I did follow a general workaround and idea based on some workouts that I put together for some clients that had some very specific goals. I wanted to test them out, make sure they were, reasonable programs that were going to get my clients the results they wanted. And I loved them. They're great workouts. I'm going to do a lot of that this year. And this year, I want to be super consistent on my physical health. I want to meet some very specific lifting goals. I want to progress some of my major lifts. And I want to get some of my nutritional goals back on track. So that is one of my main foci is going to be this year, is my physical goals. And that has everything to do with just health. I think that I feel really good about my body because I'm grateful for my body. My body went through the ringer this last year, and it was beautiful. It survived. It did a great job. Go my body, because holy hell, my body went from, I kind of felt like my body was a traitor in a lot of ways. My first seizure was shocking, to say the least. I felt shocked, right? When my husband told me that I had my seizure, because he had to tell me, right? When you have a full, it was previously called a grand mal seizure, now it's called a clonic-tonic seizure, you often have a memory cleave. The moments right before, all the way through, and then the moments after are completely cleaved from your memory. You have no idea what happened. So paramedics came, I got put back into my bed, and then I woke up as though none of that had happened. And he explained to me gently, you had a seizure. And my first response in a very Catalina fashion was, bullshit. False. Try again. No, that's not what happened. After putting everything together and realizing, no, this really happened, after having a second seizure within 3 months, after being hooked up to an EEG machine and realizing that my brain has a hair trigger in my frontotemporal lobe that constantly wants to go off and fire, it's hard not to feel betrayed by your body. And then I spun that around after a lot of work, yoga, thank you, Jen, and after just a lot of soul searching and, a lot of that work that I did last year, and realized that I'm eternally grateful for my body. Because my body is a freaking masterpiece, and it survived, and it did a lot of work, both to protect and to compensate for a lot of craziness in my entire life that it must have been going through without making me pay horrific consequences. I survived. My body did amazing. So to get back to it, my goals, my physical goals for 2022 have nothing to do with the value I place in my body's looks. I love my body. I think I'm beautiful. And I think that my body is sexy. And it has nothing to do with any of those things. I've come a long way with how I feel about my body and my worth as a woman. I feel great about myself. And I want to get stronger. I want to get a little leaner. And all of that has to do with this kind of Viking mentality that I have. I would like to make a couple of dudes every single time I work out slightly uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? Yes, it has nothing to do with a sexiness factor. It has to do with strength and that Viking kind of mentality. Do you know that TikTok or that sound going around? I don't want to be skinny like ballerina. I want to be strong like woman who wrestles bears. That's where I'm coming from at this point in my life. So those goals are all wrapped up in that mentality and that sort of vibe. Okay, so physical goals are on the forefront this year. I want to stay consistent, and I'm using my 75 and Thrive challenge to get started on that. There will be a video, that's the first video of 2022 that's going to talk about that. Please tune in next week because I am so excited to reintroduce that. When I did this challenge last year, I called it the 75 and Beyond Challenge. And as I went through these 75 days, I learned that it was more than that. And I'm repurposing it and calling it the 75 and Thrive Challenge. So stay tuned, check in next week because I'm really excited about that. Okay, so also coming up this next year, I really want to focus on family. I am so damn proud of my family. We went through so much this year together, this past year, of course, and I want to do everything we can to continue our stability work, to get the kids through this second half of their school year. My kids went through the upheaval of the pandemic, of homeschooling, of watching their mom have a seizure in the kitchen, and I couldn't be more proud of them. They are amazing children. And so I want to help them stabilize. I want to continue with their schoolwork that they're doing, homework, just the stability is of the afternoon. I love being able to set my own schedule with work and be able to be here for the kids. Home cooked meals, at least 5 or 6 days a week. That's one of the goals I made for myself a long time ago. I want to be able to keep that going. Be able to stay up on the housework, all about that home life work balance that I've really tried to stay focused on. So staying focused on my family, I want to have 3 family vacations with my parents this year. We already have one set up in March I'm really excited about. Just trying to spend as much time with family as I can this year. We've all had to be pretty cautious because of COVID, considering our availability and, I have the blessing of vaccines. It's just the way I feel about it. Comment all you want, get political. I really don't care. I'm not arguing with anybody anymore. But I'm grateful that we have this ability to protect ourselves and our children and our families so that we can spend as much time with people as we can. That's something that was taken away from us in the last couple of years, and I'm grateful to get it back. And then lastly, my focus is work. Again, that was disrupted the last few years and taken away. And so I'm grateful to be building that business back. I'm hoping, there comes the sun. It's been a very cloudy morning. I'm hoping to be able to take on more clients at Snap now that I'm able to. And then I have a wonderful new platform for remote coaching. Using this platform called Kickoff, I'm able to coach people all across the country and give workouts to them remotely right through their phone, as well as communicate with them daily, do accountability check-ins on their nutrition. They can take pictures of their meals, send it to me. I can comment right back, let them know, hey, that looks fantastic. Let's do a little more protein on the next one, or whoa, that was a lot of fried foods. Let's try and go heavy on the fruits and vegetables for the rest of the day, different things like that. And I'm getting used to the app. I'm on month 2 or 3 now at this point, and I love it. I'm really grateful for this opportunity to reach more people across the whole nation instead of just who's in my little area here in Rita Ranch. And I'm just so excited for this opportunity. So I'm really excited about work. I'm loving it. Now, on that note, I was inspired this year by my client Stacy. The work that I did with her as she healed both physically and mentally from a gruesome injury that she suffered out while canyoneering. Working with her and realizing that we were helping her heal not just from her physical injury, but from the PTSD, the trauma that she suffered mentally during the injury itself, inspired me. And talking with my dear friend Brittany about what it would take in order to get licensed as a therapist and be able to do more work with folks so that I can become more of a trauma-informed practitioner, both with therapy and with the physical side of things. I just kind of feel like both of these worlds that I've been in for so long can come together, and there's something more that I can do there. So I'm wondering if 2022 isn't the year that I start marrying together all of these worlds. I'm excited by that idea. I think that I can do it. I think that I'm there. Between nutrition, between physical health, between mental health, it's all there. And I feel like this is the year to try and make that happen. So those are my goals. That's my looking forward to 2022. And I am looking forward to it. I know there's still a lot of uncertainty, but the world keeps turning and there is always opportunity to move yourself forward despite the uncertainties around us. So please don't feel stuck. Don't feel like it's not your year and it hasn't even started yet, or like you don't want to commit to anything because we don't know what to expect. You can always commit to you and moving yourself forward. We may not know what's going on because of pandemic and because of public health policy and all those different things, but you have so much power in your own life and in your own health, and that's super important considering what we've seen this virus can do as far as preying on our own health and wellness and weaknesses, truly. So I'm gonna wrap it up there. Thank you so much. I cannot say it enough. I know that I have a very, very small and supportive following of my friends and family, and I'm truly grateful for you all. I'm very excited for the next year as far as YouTube goes. I've got 52 weeks, and that's 52 videos. I'm not going anywhere. I know it feels silly sometimes. I feel awkward talking to a camera, and editing my videos feels funny because if you knew how many times I say I spend a good solid hour editing a 20-minute video and I take out a minute of ums. But I'm getting better, I'm learning, and thank you all so much for going with me on that journey. I am into, I think, week 5 or so of these videos, and I'm going to do 52 weeks of videos next year. That is my goal, as well as 50 books, right? Focusing on my physical and nutritional health, my family, and my work. All right, comment below. What are your 2022 goals? I will hold you accountable. You hold me accountable. Let's lift each other up. Let's grow. That was my note for ending this video. Not let's go, let's grow. All right, 75 and Thrive, video coming next week. You are welcome to do this challenge with me. There is nothing that I'm looking for you other than the commitment to yourself. I'm not making any money off of this. You don't have to sign up with the program or anything else like that unless you want some extra help. I'm gonna give you the checklist. I will be here to support you and check in. Let's do this together. Okay, let's focus on our health and wellness. It is truly worth it. 75 days, imagine what you can do in that time. All right, guys, have a great week. We'll see you next week. Adios.